One caring adult in the life of a child can mitigate untold numbers of adverse childhood experiences. So if you have that time and that space in your life, become a mentor, become someone who works with just one child, create that positive connection, help them to see themselves as significant, you can change a future.
You certainly can. So there's your takeaway tip for this segment. We each have the ability to save and strengthen youth. Connect with the child, show that you care, and encourage that child to contribute in a meaningful way. 3 factors that help us recover from crisis and grow stronger. When we come back, stay with us.
Take my hand and start a brand new day. And together as one we'll start to see some change.
Underneath everything we are, underneath everything we do, we are all people, connected, interdependent, united. And when we reach out a hand to one, we can influence the condition of all. That's what it means to live united.
What if you bought something and then discovered you'd been shortchanged? Consider this. For the second year, the FCC reports that Mediacom delivered over 100% of their advertised 15 meg speed, while DSL didn't. Slower speeds mean buffering videos, slower gaming, longer downloads, frustrating timeouts. It's clear why more people are dropping DSL and switching to Mediacom. Call today and get speeds proven to deliver.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mollie Marti, and welcome back to Resiliency Matters. Today we are speaking with Leslie Wright of the United Way. We've been talking about ACEs, we've been talking about resiliency building, really drilling down to helping children and then healing ourselves as adults. In your work with United Way, you take even a broader perspective, that community perspective. Yes. So let's talk about ACEs, building resiliency, reducing those ACEs in our schools, in our communities. What does this look like?
Well, we're very excited to discover the Gallup research just in the last year or so, which they're very focused on hope, which is a major antidote of adversity. And so we began to understand their model, and it's all based on the work of the Gallup Student Poll, where they have surveyed thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of kids to find out how they're doing with hope, well-being, and engagement. Because they believed that these were markers of kids who are going to do well, be healthy, be successful. So that's what we started to look at. And hope is, how we feel about the future. And engagement is, I'm enthusiastic and I'm involved in school. And well-being is how I feel about my life. Do I feel good? Do I laugh? All those kinds of things.
And again, solid research that's incorporated in our Thrive model. We haven't talked much about that Thrive model, but we've covered pieces of it with the trusted adults, the high expectations, the challenge, resiliency building, which we're talking about today. And then Gallup's work really kind of maps onto the IVE, involvement, vision, hope, and enrichment, the well-being. So it's really important work. you work with schools, you work with community programs in growing this. So let's get practical.
Sure.
Let's use schools as a context. But again, if a parent's listening, they certainly can tweak this pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
Within their homes. But I'd like to make this very practical on hope, engagement, and well-being. So what's an example of an activity that you could do with a child, students, a classroom of children, to build hope?
Well, hope is very much connected to our belief about ourselves and our sense of efficacy. So in a classroom, it's giving kids challenges to help them overcome obstacles, have that experience. And how can you do that for them as individuals and in teams, and show them how to reach out and use resources to overcome things that they may find to be difficult?
Good. And then engagement.
Engagement is about that one-on-one experience. I am known, I am recognized, someone is interested in who I am. So one of the recommendations, and this all comes from Gallup's work, which you can find out there, is, ask kids specific one-on-one questions. What do you like to be called? What are your hot buttons? So this also touches on helping them know themselves. And a question like, who makes you feel important? Asking kids those questions and getting to know them grows their engagement.
And that reminds me, we had a discussion with Angela Myers, and I think one of her resources was the 12 most important ways to tell kids they matter, to show kids they matter. So if you want specific tips, teachers are a great place to go to this, because they get this, engaging those kids. And well-being, what if a teacher or parent wants to increase the sense of well-being? What does this mean, and what's an activity?
Well, again, this is where we also want to connect kids with their successes. So an easy, I call it easy, but it seems to me a pretty straightforward suggestion is, in the classroom, ask kids to reflect on and maybe even write about, what have my successes been? And how do I connect those successes to school? And how do I connect those successes to my future? And begin to imagine forward. That's a real simple activity.
Yeah, and even that process of having a child hold that sense of celebration, that sense of accomplishment. And we do this as adults. I was working out this morning, and on my DVD, you get to the cool down, and she said, you could skip this cool down, but it's not about the cool down. It's about celebrating what you just did for yourself, and to become stronger in all areas of your life. And we tend to give so much away. How much do we just take a breath and go, nice job? And if we can teach our children that, that really contributes to that well-being.
Absolutely.
What are some of the outcomes? There's some great, Gallup has very striking outcomes, but even say with hope, what is a practical outcome of increasing hope in a child?
What's wonderful about the Gallup research is that it's been all across the nation, hundreds of thousands of kids, and what they've discovered is that hope, how kids rank themselves in hopefulness, is a better predictor of their post-secondary success than GPA, ACTs, SATs, those scores we all spend all our time worrying about. It's that belief in their future and energy about that really is going to carry them where we hope they will go. And so that's why we have worked with our district partners here to implement the Gallup Student Poll in Cedar Rapids.
So I want to mirror that, because that is striking, that more important than test scores, more important than GPAs, more important than those academics, and we hear a lot on the core curriculums and all of those, is that individual child's sense of hope, the energy and the positive attitude they have about their future.
Absolutely.
So that needs to be heard. You have given us so much information today, and you have more specific tips and examples, I believe, to go beyond school in our communities, after-school programs. Let's talk about that. So put up some tips here about what we can be doing in our after-school programs, and why is this important to be looking beyond school?
Well, I think it's most important because Iowa is a state where 80% of children's parents, both or their only parent, are in the workforce. And research has shown us that the gap between school time and parents' work schedules can be 25 hours. So what are we helping kids do in that time? So you'll hear a lot of the same themes, but here's some things that a youth development organization can do. Make sure you've prepared, because structure and routine helps them be safe, help them connect, be calm, and be positive.
Some great takeaways. So here's tip number 3. Build resiliency by increasing hope for a better future, fully engaging in activities, and improving how you think about and experience life. This is Dr. Mollie Marti on Resiliency Matters. Thank you for joining us, and tune in next time on MediaCom MC22, your local programming.